Well, as far as like, helping out and doing something for someone or if you're passionate about animal rescue, talk to me about anything that you're involved with that might be inspiring to someone that might be interested in helping out.
So my wife and I, we just love animals and we just try to rescue every critter that we can afford to rescue and that we have space to rescue. And I've got a little ranch house on an acre out here in the high desert. So it's not like a as dusty and hot as Las Vegas is. It's got more greenery and stuff like that. So we've got an acre. So we've got lots of chickens. We just rescued some turkeys from the Thanksgiving you know from the Thanksgiving you know
Hmm.
and we got some ducks. We got a bunch of goats. We've got a giant tortoise about the size of a lawnmower walking around my backyard. We got a little Russian tortoise that's about the size of a football. We got a big old snake. She was actually a circus rescue, and she's been to the ring with Jake the Snake a time or two. Um, and also dogs, cats, and I have a big, huge, well, not big, huge, a little. By little, I'd say he's about 450 pounds. We've got a mini Texas Longhorn steer walking around my
Hmm,
backyard.
that's
So that's
nice.
interesting. And so we've got all sorts of critters. So I think just about every bit of profit I make on a wrestling show or doing a wrestling seminar or selling those wrestling figurines or whatever pretty much goes to uh, feeding those critters. So like I pay my bills and I feed those critters. I'm literally wearing my paint covered t-shirt sent to me by my buddy, friend of mine, Donnie Cotterman, for like we designed the LJN toys as like a hobby. And so that's it. I'm a collector of t-shirts as a pro wrestler because I'm a giant child. So I've got all the different, stuff. But like I don't spend anything on myself as far as it all goes to feeding these critters. So we're like little Champy here who's sleeping in my lap right now. Um, so we rescued him from this not a very I mean it's not no fault of like the place, it's just a budgeting thing. Like but we from this kill shelter in San Bernardino, which could use, some donations. I think every pet place, every like shelter could use some donations. But I went to go rescue another little blind poodle girl. We have this little dude Rambo here who's sitting behind me in his little cabana. And um, and so I was going to drive about 4 hours from the back of Death Valley to go into San Bernardino. And by the time I got there, like they were kind of behind and they weren't overly, their website wasn't updated and they weren't inundated with any new stuff. And I guess that little blind poodle girl had gotten adopted. So that's awesome. So great. I thought I'm not driving 4 hours and not jailbreaking one of these little critters. So I just asked like who's the critter that's most in need that, nobody wants, maybe been here longest or whatever. And they pointed me to Champy, and he was like emaciated, like he was just skin and bone. He was scared. He wouldn't eat, and he just kind of looked at each other, and he was just like, "Are you my dude?" I looked at him. I'm like, "Are you my dude?" And the little girl that was working at the place she's like, "He hasn't responded to anybody like that." So I'm like, "All right, well, let's get out of here, man." And so me and him in the truck and a Slim Jim later, and we were best pals. And so that was how that goes. He hasn't left my side ever since.
How long have you had your dogs?
I've had all these different critters for different lengths of time. Um, Dog we got from excuse me, Arizona. I guess on the edge of Arizona. Got him, rescued him as a puppy, and his name is Ox, and he's like a pit mastiff, and he's just the sweetest boy ever. We've had him for about 7 years. We rescued this little pit Wawa, if you could figure out what that is. This looks like a little jacked little dachshund. Uh, if the Road Warriors, if you mix the Road Warriors and a dachshund, that would be like what this little sweet
Okay.
little girl is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so at I guess at like 3 weeks old, so my wife's stepdaughter is a vet tech in Vegas. And I guess at 3 weeks old, some asshole brings this little dog in a coma to the thing. Say, oh, she won't wake up. And my daughter-in-law said, "What happened?" Well, she was barking so loud, and I got mad, and I threw it against the wall, and it won't wake up. And so she kind of chased the guy off and said, "Look, don't ever come back, or we'll call the police." So she raised this little dog out of a coma. So after about 6 or so weeks, she was in a coma for a while. And after about 6 weeks and some TLC from my daughter-in-law, she was kind of up and moving. And so when we saw her, we took her right in, and she's super sweet and super smart. I think with the head trauma, yeah, she's super sweet until she's not. So the funny thing about her is like, so I think with that head trauma, she kind of goes from zero to hero really quickly. So we can't really keep her around the other dogs. Like she's little, but she's big enough where she could do some damage on a small dog.
Hmm.
Where my big ox, he just thinks she's funny, and he's whatever. Like he's so big, he's just silly, you know. It's kind of like me and my wife. Like she can bark all day long, but she's just a 5 foot little midget. So I'm not worried about it. But with the little Pitwawa, she's like, I don't know, her medulla oblongata is no bueno. So she just sees something weird, and she's also saying, "What's going on?" And she'll kind of lose her stuff for a little bit, and then she's right back sweet again. So her she goes up and down very quickly. So you have to kind of watch it with that, and that just comes with the course of her surviving such a brutal thing of trauma, which is awful. And I can't.
Yeah, it's never good to have a pet or anybody, that's abused or assaulted or any kind of violent, incidents.
The meaning of life is finding peace in the chaos. And I just thought, like, when these little critters are looking at me, even if they're annoying or even if they peed on the floor, they did something, like they're just so innocent and sweet. Like, I can't help but just go, okay, I'm lucky to have these critters. And if I won the lottery, I'd get an island and I would rescue a shit ton more.